A true love story. This story takes place in a small house, whose people live the bitterness of alienation, including a 16-year-old girl named Amira. Amira was a girl loved by all her friends. She never knew enmity in her life, and she lived her teenage years in peace. She saw how her friends lived their teenage years. One of them loved for the third time. Another loved the neighbor's son. And another was infatuated with someone the age of her father. And she was never convinced by love. And whenever her friends told her about their suffering with their lovers, she laughed. Amira lived in the age of the internet and was fond of it. So she would sit for hours in front of her device without getting tired or bored. And her heart almost broke when the internet line was disconnected. She loved sites of wonders and curiosities, and she would roam the internet searching for them, and she loved talking to her friends via the internet, and she found more pleasure in that than just talking to them over the phone or in person. One day, Amira was practicing her favorite hobby as usual, surfing the internet from one site to another, and at the same time talking to her friends at school, when one of them told her that she would introduce her to a girl she met on the internet. Amira refused to talk to young men on the internet because she considered it morally and religiously inappropriate, and a betrayal of her family's trust in her. So Amira agreed to talk to this girl, as she loved to make friends with girls from all over the world. She actually got to know her and found in her a well-mannered religious girl, and trusted her blindly. She talked to her for hours and hours, and her admiration for the girl, her behavior, her great manners, and her wonderful ideas about politics, religion, and all the different matters of life increased. Once, while she was talking to her online, the girl said to her, "I will confess something to you, but promise me that you will not hate me then." Amira immediately said, "How can you say the word hate when you know how much I love you? You are like my sister." The girl said to her, "I will tell you the truth. I am a young man in my 20s, and I did not mean to deceive you, but I really liked you, and I did not tell you the truth, because I knew that you do not talk to young men." Here, Amira did not know what to do, as she felt that something had changed in her, and she felt that her heart had shaken for the first time. But she woke herself up by saying, "How can I love via the internet? I am the one who was completely opposed to that way of love." So she said to him, "I am sorry. You are just like my brother." He said to her, "What is important to me is that I love you, and you consider me like your brother. This is your business alone." Days passed, and they became more attached to each other, until one day Amira fell ill with an illness that confined her to bed for a week. When she recovered, she rushed to the internet to find her email full of messages, all of them messages of longing and love. When she talked to him, he asked her, "Why did you abandon me?" She said to him, "I was sick." He said to her, "You don't love me?" Here, Amira weakened and said for the first time in her life, "Yes, I love you, and I think about you a lot." The struggle began in Amira's heart, and she said, "I betrayed my family's trust in me. I betrayed the man who raised me, and I did not care about the effort he made for me." Then she decided to write this letter to the young man. "God is my witness that I loved you, and that you are the first love of my life, and that I have seen nothing but goodness from you, but I love God more than any creature, and God has commanded that there should be no relationship between a young man and a young woman before marriage. And I do not want to disobey the command of my Creator, and I do not want to betray my family's trust in me. So I decided to write you this last letter, and you may think that I do not want you, but I still love you. And as I write these words, my heart is cracking with sadness, and let our hope in God be great. For if He wants us to be reunited despite the distance, then it will be. Amira wrote the letter and sent it to him, and she ran quickly crying with pain and sorrow. But at the same time she was convinced that what she did was exactly right. Years passed, and Amira became 20 years old, and the boy's love still reigned supreme in her heart, despite the attempts of many to penetrate it, but to no avail, as she was unable to love anyone but him. Amira and her family returned to their homeland, and there she began her studies at university, specializing in communications engineering. The university selected a delegation for the communications exhibition, and Amira was among them. While touring the exhibition, they stopped at one of the companies displaying its products. When they left, Amira forgot her lecture notebook on the table where the company displayed its products. The young man, who was an employee at the company, took the notebook and followed her, but she was lost from his sight. So he decided to keep it in case its owner came back to ask about it. The young man sat with the notebook in his hand, and the clock pointed to 11 at night, and the exhibition was empty of customers. While he was sitting, the idea of browsing the notebook came to him, and he found an email address on it. The young man was surprised and started flipping through the pages to find Amira's name. He was overjoyed and ran and jumped all over the exhibition. The next morning, he rushed to the exhibition, hoping that Amira would come for her notebook. Amira did come, and when he saw her, he almost fell from joy. He did not expect his heart to beat for a girl as beautiful as her. He gave her the notebook while contemplating her features. She was amazed by him, so she thanked him verbally. But deep down, she was saying that he was an idiot, because he did not take his eyes off her face. Amira went out, and the young man followed her to her house. He asked the neighbors about her and her family. The next day, he came with his family to propose to her. Her family found him a suitable groom for their daughter, as he was of good character, religious, and had a good reputation. But Amira rejected him, as she had rejected those before him, because her heart only beat once. Her family was disappointed and told the young man that Amira had rejected him, but he refused to answer them, saying, "I will not leave the house until I talk to her." The family agreed to the young man's request. Amira came and sat down, so he said to her, "Amira, don't you know me?" She said to him, "How would I know you?" He said to her, "I am the one you refused to talk to, so that you would not betray your family's trust in you." Then she fainted from the shock and joy, and woke up to see him standing in front of her, and then she turned her face to her father and said, "I agree, Father, I agree."